Conjuring Mirror. Among all the artifacts in the Warrens Occult Museum, few evoke as much unease as the Conjuring Mirror. Not because of its appearance, a dark carved wooden frame, glass stained by time, but because of what it allegedly does. Open a window between our world and something that should never be seen. This story begins long before the mirror was contained, in a forgotten house on the outskirts of Montville, New Jersey, in the 1980s. Randall Keene was an eccentric antiquarian, passionate about the occult. He collected rare artifacts and maintained a basement filled with forbidden books, grimoires, and ancient mirrors. One of them was purchased at a garage sale for a symbolic price. The seller, an elderly man with cloudy eyes, merely murmured, "Take it at your own risk." Keene didn't mind. He was accustomed to tragic stories and dark myths. But that mirror was different. In his diary, he described the first signs of abnormality. The glass didn't just reflect images, but shadows behind those who looked. At night, shapes appeared, too brief to identify. Soft sounds like taps or breaths echoed through the house, even with the windows closed. Keene, far from being frightened, delved even deeper. He installed the mirror in a summoning circle and began conducting conjuration sessions alone, attempting contact with what he called echoes from beyond. Keene's last entry is dated March 14th, 1986. In it, he wrote, "Today it saw me. It's aware, and now it knows who I am." The next morning, he appeared at his sister's house in a state of shock. Deep scratches on his arms, red eyes, trembling body. He carried the mirror wrapped in cloths and pleaded, lock it up, it's coming." After that, he vanished without a trace. The mirror remained stored for over 2 decades. In 2007, it was discovered by chance during the cleaning of an abandoned storage facility, a former mortuary located in Waterbury, Connecticut. The responsible employee, named Derek, described feeling a pressure in his chest as soon as he removed the cloth covering the mirror. "It was as if the air had changed weight, as if something was breathing with me." The mirror ended up on the antique market and was purchased by Henry and Marcia Jameson, a couple of restorers who had just moved into a century-old property. The mirror's frame matched the house's style. They installed it in the main room, among antique furniture and Renaissance paintings. In the first days, everything seemed normal, but the couple's daughter, Lacey, 8 years old, began having vivid nightmares. She said there was a man inside the mirror, a man without eyes, who called her by name. She drew the figure in her notebooks, always a faceless face, hands pressed against the glass. The parents attributed it to the stress of moving, until one early morning changed everything. Henry woke up to a dry noise coming from the living room. He found the mirror partially off the hook, hanging from the wall. The strange thing is that the nail was intact. On the floor, scratch marks extended for almost 2 meters, as if something had been dragged there. The security camera footage showed static during the time of the occurrence. In the following days, the presence intensified. The family dog refused to enter the room. Lacey was found murmuring indecipherable sounds while staring at the mirror for long minutes. Marcia woke up to the sound of whispering voices. Voices that, according to her, came from inside the glass. When she tried to cover it with a sheet, the cloth was found torn on the floor the next morning. They called a priest from the local parish. During the blessing, he stopped abruptly, pale, saying, "Something is looking back." He suggested immediate contact with Ed and Lorraine Warren. When Lorraine entered the house, she asked for silence. She stood in front of the mirror for over 20 minutes. Upon leaving, she said only, "It's not just a reflection, it's a channel." According to the Warrens, that mirror was part of an ancient ritual known as reflective conjuration, a method to summon entities through attention and emotional connection with the observer. Lorraine offered to conduct a test. She remained 3 minutes in front of the mirror while Ed filmed. At the end, she collapsed unconscious. She spent 2 days in absolute rest. She said she heard a voice behind the glass that knew her full name, narrated her fears, and whispered childhood secrets. It wasn't a human spirit. It was something that imitated humanity, with the sole objective of crossing over. The mirror was sealed with blessed tapes and transported to the Warrens Museum. Since then, it remains locked in a reinforced glass case surrounded by Latin inscriptions. Even so, visitors report discomfort, vertigo, and the sensation of being watched. Some report recurring nightmares after the visit. Lorraine claimed that the entity never left the mirror. It merely awaits new eyes. Little is known about the origins of the reflective conjuration ritual, but studies by contemporary demonologists, including Ed Warren, point to a sect called the Hand of the Serpent, active between 1850 and 1890 on the east coast of the United States. They believed that reflective surfaces, when treated with blood and specific prayers, could open channels to the lower plane. The mirror in question would have been used in a series of rituals on the property of a doctor named Alistair Grimsby, accused of sacrificing animals and even humans in the name of spiritual communication. In the Warrens' records, after the object was sealed, reports involving it continued to emerge. One of the most famous occurred in 2012 with a young university student named Mitchell Avers. During a guided tour of the museum, he mocked the prohibition of staring at the mirror and brought his face close to the glass, saying aloud, "Come on, show me something." 3 days later, Mitchell was found in his dormitory in a catatonic state, sitting in front of the wardrobe mirror, which had been covered with duct tape on the outside. His nails were bleeding, as if he had scratched his own face for hours. The mirror was, once again, isolated. Lorraine Warren determined that it should remain hidden from the direct view of visitors. Tony Spera, currently responsible for the collection, keeps the object in a restricted room with motion sensors and crucifixes positioned at all angles. According to him, even closed, the mirror continues to generate interference in nearby electronic devices, in addition to causing insomnia in employees who get too close to the area where it is kept. There is also the story of a medium named Isabel Ferris, who visited the museum in 2017. Before reaching the mirror room, she claimed to feel a silent call. As she approached, she abruptly fainted and suffered convulsions. Upon waking, she said only that the glass wants to remember, not forget. Since then, she has refused to talk more about what she saw. Occultism experts warn that objects like this should not be confused with simple museum pieces. They are still active tools, whose energy does not depend on belief or skepticism. And the case of the mirror is one of the most extreme examples. Lorraine Warren claimed that it was not a portal, it was a trap. And every gaze fixed on that glass increased the awareness of what is on the other side. After Lorraine's death in 2019, the mirror remained under maximum containment. Recent rumors indicate that an attempt to transfer the museum to another location failed, with reports of failures in transport vehicles and inexplicable accidents. The mirror remains where it is, behind 3 layers of protection, but its influence remains alive. In 2020, an independent paranormal investigator named Rachel Givens obtained special permission to conduct an experiment with the mirror. Using thermal cameras, electromagnetic field detectors, and high-sensitivity microphones, she tried to capture objective evidence of the activity associated with the object. The experiment was conducted at midnight with minimal lighting in the museum's restricted wing. During the first 20 minutes, nothing occurred, but then the sensors detected a sudden drop in temperature around the mirror of almost 7 degrees Celsius in a few seconds. The microphones recorded a sound that, when amplified, revealed itself as a sequence of repetitive whispers, the same phrase in archaic Latin, revoco inter specula. In free translation, "I return among the mirrors. Rachel immediately ended the experiment. Upon reviewing the recordings, she noticed that in one of the cameras, at the exact moment of the whisper, a translucent figure seems to form for a fraction of a second in the lower corner of the mirror. The recording was later analyzed by video specialists who found no technical explanations for the phenomenon. The most unsettling part, according to her, came days later. Rachel reported that when looking at the mirror in her bathroom at home, she had the clear sensation that she was not alone. Her reflected image smiled slightly, while her face remained motionless. The episode lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough for Rachel to completely abandon her research and start avoiding large mirrors. A recent theory, raised by a scholar of demonological artifacts named Dr. Elias Morton, suggests that the Conjuring Mirror was not created to summon, but to imprison. According to him, the original cult may have used the mirror as a magical cell, sealing within it an entity that partially escaped over time. This would explain why its activity increases the more attention it receives. Looking at it would be like touching weakened bars, a stimulus that reactivates what is dormant. The debate between containment and destruction continues, but those responsible for the museum maintain their position. The mirror must remain where it is, sealed, isolated, and never directly confronted, because, as Lorraine said, it's not necessary to believe to be affected. You only need to look. Now tell me, would you have the courage to stand in front of this mirror for 3 minutes in absolute silence? Do you know of any other object with a cursed history that deserves to be told here? Write in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to receive more stories like this, straight from the dark side of reality.